The headlines: after grounding activities for 2 days, organized labor suspends industrial action as Nigerians decry impact. Security chiefs, Inspector General of Police shun House of Representatives invitation. Lawmakers reschedule meeting. Experts call for long-term vaccination efforts as diphtheria outbreak kills over 600. On the foreign scene, Boakai in early lead as vote count in Liberia presidential runoff continues. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. The Joint National Executive Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has suspended the indefinite nationwide strike, which entered its second day on Wednesday. The decision was reached at a meeting on Wednesday that deliberated on the outcome of an earlier interface with the federal government led by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. The TUC President, Festus Osifo, confirmed the suspension on Wednesday evening. The organized labor says it has received a commitment from the Nuhu Ribadu-led meeting that those arrested for the physical assault on NLC President Joe Ajaero would be prosecuted. The NSA promised to bring both parties back to the table to iron out all issues in dispute, tendering an unreserved apology on behalf of the federal government for the brutalization of Joe Ajaero and other members of the Congress. The meeting, which was held at the office of the NSA with the TUC President Festus Osifo, the NLC General Secretary Emmanuel Ogbuaja, the Minister of Labour and Employment Simon Lalong, among others, in attendance. At the end of the meeting, which was held behind closed doors, both the Labour Minister and the TUC President say they had a robust conversation on the issues at stake. The Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria embarked on an indefinite nationwide strike on Tuesday following the November 1st assault on the president of the NLC, Joe Ajaero. Well, earlier I spoke to Abdullahi Ahmed on the situation report in Katsina.
You know, the information got to many Katsina residents very late at night. In fact, greater percentage of the people here are not even aware that the strike was called off last night. So going by this, almost all the public places such as schools, courts, and other institutions remain closed. However, the question many Katsina residents are asking is about the impact of the strike action, whether it has made any impact or not, because they're talking about the issue of wage award to state civil servants, which is one of their priorities and, of course, one of their concerns, whether those concerns have been addressed by the organized labor before calling off the strike. In fact, most of the civil servants here in Katsina have not resumed to work, maybe by tomorrow, Friday. But as of today, the turnout is very low. Right. And on the other side of the coin, the 2-day strike has really crippled a lot of business activities here in Katsina. And maybe the business activities may pick up as soon as possible. Well, I went to the Katsina State Secretariat complex, which is housing most of the ministries and other MDAs. But the Secretariat gates are opened, but there are very few workers there that are going in and out compared to other normal days. So by and large, the turnout is very low, and most of the schools still remain closed. And of course, even court premises I went to this morning were closed because of the communication gap. The information came to many people very late at night. The reaction of many Katsina residents is that whether the strike action has made any impact, whether the demands of the organized labor has been met, or they just call up the strike just like that because of some other issues they are suspecting. They are asking a lot of questions regarding the calling of the strike, whether their demands have been met. And their main concern, especially here at the state level, is the wage award for state civil servants, whether those issues have been addressed.
Abdullahi Hamadide with an update regarding the suspension of the industrial strike action. We also spoke to Ajibade Praise, who is in Imo, and he gave us an update on the developments across the state.
I would say life is getting back to normal. Yes, normalcy has returned back to the state, and most of the offices that were shut down because of the strike are now getting back to full operation. I visited some of those offices earlier this morning. Most of the schools are now open. Students are coming to school. I noticed the financial institutions are now open, and the people can now access the banking hall for their various transactions. I also noticed that the judiciary that was once locked, completely locked, is now open, and people can now access their offices for those who seek legal services and what to do. But one thing that caught my attention at the school I went to, that is the government secondary school I went to in the state, was that most of the students are yet to come to school. They are yet to resume. It's like, typical of Nigerians. They are still waiting to see whether or not the news that the strike has been called off is true. So most of the students didn't actually turn up. You could see a school of thousands of students. The ones we saw around today were just a few in tens, hundreds, thereabouts. So, but then I spoke with the VP, Vice Principal Academic of the school, who confirmed to us that yes, they are now open and the learning will now commence, but then the students are yet to resume, and they trust that they will resume as the day goes by. Power has been restored in some of the places, some of the communities across Imo State, especially in Owerri. They're beginning to see power supply. Also, some areas within the Owerri North local government area, that is Iagua. Iagua is now seeing light. Amajeke, as well as somebody I confirmed to, who also spoke to me from Imepuku axis of the state. They are now seeing light. I believe, yes, power has been restored back to the state.
Ajibade Praise there with an update on developments across Imo. Now, the district head of Kujama in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, Stephen Ibrahim, has been abducted by suspected gunmen. He was abducted alongside two others while walking out of a reservation center located behind Bethel Baptist School along Kaduna-Kujama Highway. Now, the incident happened on Sunday evening around 7 p.m. according to a local Joint Task Force senior member. According to him, the district head was in company of two others when the gunman on motorbike picked him up at gunpoint. Also confirming the incident to Daily Trust on Wednesday, the Arun Chikun local government area Ibrahim Saleh described the incident as unfortunate. In a related development, two police officers have sustained gunshot injuries as suspected bandits attacked Kakanji community in Birningwari area of Kaduna State. The incident occurred on Monday morning when the bandits stormed the outskirts of the community, attempting to set ablaze the armored personnel carrier belonging to the mobile policemen in the area. Nigeria Service Chiefs and the Inspector General of Police have failed to honor the invitation to appear before the Nigerian House of Representatives on Thursday. They were invited to appear as part of the sectoral debates introduced by the House pursuant to Order 17, Rules 1, Sub 3 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives. The service chiefs were to meet the Parliament on their constitutional responsibilities to ensure the security of lives and properties, as well as the territorial integrity of Nigeria. However, the service chiefs, as well as the Inspector General of Police, sent representatives which were rejected by the House, which demanded the security chiefs and the Inspector General appear in person. The representatives were introduced into the chamber after a motion by the House leader, Professor Julius Ihombere, was seconded by Aliyu Madaki. But after the self-introduction by the representatives of the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, the Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, objected to their representation, saying that although the representatives are competent and capable of representing their security heads, they cannot be allowed to speak on behalf of their principals. Now, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences Act of 2018 and establish the Federal University of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, and for Related Matters 2023, sponsored by Senator Diket Plang, has passed second reading at the floor of the Nigerian Senate.
While presenting the bill, Plang explained that the bill will help in positioning Nigerian mining sector and further deepen research for mining.
On an act to repeal the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences Act 2019 and establish a Federal University of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, and for other related matters. That is required at the moment is to upgrade the institute to a degree awarding institution. My highly respected colleagues, the proposed bill will also support efforts aimed at positioning Nigeria's mining sector as a viable sector for diversifying the country's economy away from the excessive dependence on income from crude oil exports.
In support of the bill, some of the lawmakers made their contributions. Senator Ahmed Lawan stated how critical the bill is for the development of the country.
Nigeria does not reasonably benefit from its solid minerals subsector. The fact that we have an institution that we now feel should be transformed into a university is to say that we need to have those with expertise and skills that will help develop this subsector.
The bill was therefore referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education and TET Fund to report back to the Senate in 4 weeks.
A bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Institute of Mining and Geosciences Act 2018 and to establish the Federal University of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, and for Related Matters 2023. Second reading taken. The bill is hereby referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education, TET Fund, and to report back in 4 weeks.
The bill is set to reform Nigeria's mining sector for better service delivery and performance.
Now, in other news, the federal government has reduced to 6 counts the fraud charges it filed against the immediate past governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. The charges, bordering on alleged procurement, were originally 20. In the original charge, the federal government alleged that the procurement fraud was to the tune of 6.5 billion naira. The original charges were first filed in August. Emefiele was charged alongside a female CBN employee, Saadatu Yaro, and her company, April 1616 Investment. The arraignment before the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, was stalled on 2 occasions as the Department of State Services failed to produce Emefiele in court. Following his release by the DSS and the immediate rearrest by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on October 27, the federal government amended the charges against Emefiele. Emefiele is the only defendant in the new charge. The defendants had been scheduled to appear will be arraigned on Wednesday. The matter could not, however, proceed due to the strike action by the organized labor. To Kano State now, where a state high court has convicted and sentenced 2 fraudsters to 3 years imprisonment for internet fraud-related offences. The court, presided over by Justice Ibrahim Karai, according to a statement posted on Wednesday via the official X handle of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, convicted the 2 after they separately pleaded guilty to a 1-count charge on internet fraud upon the arraignment by the Kano Zonal Command of the EFCC. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Despite government intervention, food production shortages loom. More on this and many other stories up ahead after the break.
Hello and welcome to Creative Lounge on Trust TV. My name is Ahmed Mohammed Bello and I'm going to be taking you through my journey as an artist.
Are you interested in the latest news and developments in Nigerian politics, policy, governance and other critical national issues? Look no further than Daily Politics on Trust TV. Our panel of experts and key people in government provide in-depth analysis and commentary on the biggest stories in Nigerian politics.
And 33.3 million Nigerians are suffering from multidimensional poverty. It's a much calmer Buhari than the Buhari who was in the khaki uniform.
Naira to Naira X rate is higher anywhere in the world. The Naira is higher than our exchange rate. So you want to...
This central bank governor you're doing, you must do it fast.
Number of casualties we have had, we shouldn't have had. Security as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have wronged.
From the inner workings of government to the latest on legislation, rule of law, implementation and democracy, we have you covered. Don't miss out on the latest political news and discussion. Tune in to Daily Politics, weekdays on Trust TV, your source for reliable and unbiased coverage of Nigerian politics.
Welcome back to the news. Here's a reminder of our top stories. After grounding economic activities for 2 days, organized labor suspends industrial action as Nigerians decry impact. Security chiefs and the Inspector General of Police shun reps' invitation as lawmakers reschedule meeting. Now, Medecins Sans Frontières, also known as Doctors Without Borders, an international non-governmental organization, has called for strengthened and longer-term vaccination efforts against diphtheria as cases and deaths from the current outbreak in Nigeria hit 17,600 respectively. In a statement, the organization says about 70% of patients admitted in its treatment facilities in Kano were not fully vaccinated or vaccinated at all. The organization says this shows the alarmingly low vaccination coverage in Kano State that has recorded almost 12,000 suspected cases. Doctors Without Borders said in the Northwest, full vaccination coverage is of high concern, ranging from 6% in Sokoto to 10% in Zamfara and 18% in Katsina, against the national average, which is 36%. In the Northeast, The coverage is seemingly alarming, as only 15% of the patients treated for diphtheria in MSF facility in Gwanje Pediatric Hospital in Maiduguri were fully vaccinated. Now, the harvest season in Nigeria is gaining momentum as food prices continue to soar, with 26.5 million Nigerians at risk of hunger between now and next year, according to a United Nations agency. The usual optimism of farmers and traders has been negatively impacted by the cost of production, with fuel prices pushing production levels to the brink. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports from Gombe.
Farmers are not reaping what they sow because the current economic climate has become unfavorable to the agriculture value chain. The harvest season has come with so many challenges as farmers and traders calculate their small profit margins due to economic downturn. The high cost of farm inputs means farm produce will not come cheap as many had hoped.
The only thing or the only way that we can follow to tackle price of food commodity in Nigeria is to intervene properly and is to intervene accordingly. Intervene on the price of input, intervene in the price of commodity, monitoring and supervision of farming activities. Well, some can smile, some will be happy with the price increment, but the best thing we are calling on the government to come to the aid of our farmers by intervening promptly, properly. Farmers' partnership is the input are very difficult to access because of the high prices. But we are calling on the government to provide warehouses where after having a farmer can take his produce, sell it at the approved rate, sell it and get the input at the subsidized rate.
Although successive governments have introduced various agricultural interventions, the country depends on importation to meet the growing food demands of its fast-growing population. Speaking on the solution, Dr. Abubakar also attributed the skyrocketing food prices to inconsistency of government intervention programs, which must be addressed to guarantee food security in the country.
Honestly, it's inconsistent in government program and policies regarding agriculture. If I say the government intervention will be continuously, at least we can be able to achieve what we want to achieve. But the government intervention, no continuity in government intervention, particularly in agriculture. Inconsistency in intervention in agriculture is cause inflation in food prices.
Nigeria is on verge of a food security crisis, and going by the current food inflation figures, there is more work to be done to avert the incoming crisis. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Some international news stories now. Vote counting has been underway in Liberia on Wednesday, a day after a presidential runoff between football legend George Weah and ex-Vice President Joseph Boakai, with the challenger taking a narrow early lead. The balloting passed peacefully on Tuesday, with more than 2.4 million voters called on to choose between incumbent George Weah, who is seeking a second term in office, and 78-year-old Boakai. Observers expect the result to be tight after the two candidates came roughly neck and neck in the first round vote last month. With results counted from 1,315 of the 5,890 polling stations across the country, Boakai was ahead with 50.7% of the votes, according to Davidata Brown, who is the chairwoman of the Electoral Commission. She did not specify what proportion of the total number of voters these polling stations represented. They accounted for just over 386,000 votes. In the first round vote held last month, George Weah led his old rival by just 7,126 votes nationally. But in 2017's presidential race, he easily beat Boakai in the second round, taking more than 61% of the vote. The Electoral Commission has 15 days from the polls to publish the results, but could do so even sooner. Talking sports now, Enyimba defender Chigozie Chileku has been ruled out for 3 weeks with a groin injury. He was stretched off during the People's Elephants Nigeria Premier Football League Matchday 8 clash against Kano Pillars last weekend. The player missed the Aba Giants' rescheduled Matchday 4 fixture against Doma United on Wednesday. Enyimba suffered a 1-0 defeat in the encounter at the Pantami Stadium in Gombe. Finidi George's side third defeat. This is Finidi George's side third defeat of the current campaign. The left back has featured in all Enyimba's league outings this season. Chileku is expected to miss the week 9 and 10 matches against Lobby Stars and Heartland respectively. Enyimba remain at the bottom half of the log following the defeat, occupying 17th position with 7 points from 6 games. Well, those are the latest news stories at this hour. You can check back a bit later for more news update. But for now, you can follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more content. And please visit trusttv.com for the latest news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time.